Hi and hello. You know what I always say, if you're seeing this, you're special, one out of a million trillion. I got a message while taking my usual walk. And I got the message kind of through birds. It's like the image of birds flying. But first I want to tell you the original message of I was speaking to my ancestors and my guides and just about executive dysfunction. I believe that's the official term. But I call it executive fear, like the fear of executing. Because not a lot of people understand what that's like. And usually souls like me and you, or you and I, we have this fear because we know we're meant for great things. And you're gonna know what this meant for you. Like, you're someone, no matter what you do, no matter if it's a minuscule job or a big grand thing, you're always someone in the room that's one of the best, one of the greatest, or the greatest. Or you're someone that people often put their expectations on. Their mood depends on how you perform. The business suddenly depends on how much work you do when there's a million other workers or other people that's a part of the group. And I had seen 144. And this is because we often have a great purpose. You have great energy that is able to recreate and recreate and recreate, right? And that is very scary when you are often told you are not powerful, or you are just as average as everyone else, or even it's scary when you know that you have that power and you don't know what to do with it. And so I'm going to tell you, you're not alone in that. Like, I have been, and it'll be something that you've been planning on, you've been working for, like, you know when it's time, right? But as soon as it's time to go and execute the plan, you second guess, or you feel anxious. It's this rumbling in your stomach and you're like, well, should I be doing that? I don't want to do that. Like, for example, for me, like, as far as any job or any working, and I've always been a worker, and even as far as my YouTube and doing that, like, I've always had the want to do it, and I've always had the envision, and I've always had to just put my plan out on paper, imagine it, and be able to go for it. But now that I'm realizing this is something I really want to do, this is something I know that I can do, it's kind of scary, and it makes you want to second guess. Don't ever second guess yourself about anything you really want to do, because it's all so amazing. It's quite a dilemma. The brain is a very interesting thing. Like, how do I want to really go for this and do this, but then at the same time, when it's time to do it, I'm like, no, fuck that. No, we can't do that. And that is because of, like I was speaking in other videos, programming that has been placed on us. Oftentimes, if we are used to doing minuscule things with our energy and getting big results, we think that's all that we can do. And I'm here to tell you, no, your big energy is meant for big and great things, like bigger and greater than you can ever imagine right now. And I know that for my future, this channel is going to reach so many people. I know that my energy, no matter what business I create or what ideas I envision, it's going to reach so many people. And then oftentimes that's scary. I'm an introverted extrovert. really. And I don't like being responsible for people. Like, because I feel like for a long time in my life, I've been responsible for other people's emotions, for other people's thoughts, and all sorts of things like that. I worked at jobs where I've been responsible for making sure everyone else did their job, though I'm not a manager. Like, when you are put in those positions over a long period of time, you start to not want to work at your highest and be at your fullest because it comes with a lot. I'm here to tell you, you have to put your energy into things that will serve you, that will create happiness in you, even when you're scared, even when you're anxious, even when you're angry, even when life is throwing all these spiritual attacks. Because the people that are meant to find you will find you, and they will see you, and those people are going to align with what you're looking for. Like me and the jobs that I want to do and the businesses I want to create, I don't want to be completely responsible for someone and how they feel to the point where I have to filter my words or overthink how I speak, overthink how I talk with my hands and all this other stuff and be perfectly perfect, right? So in turn, the people and the reach I'm going to have is going to be those who are emotionally mature, who know how to handle their own emotions and take what's for them, leave what's not. And I'm just here to say, don't dim your light, don't dim your power or any of your spiritual energy because others cannot take it or because they see that you are a powerful person. Like, think about how they use God in the Bible, like your everyday Christians. And I'm just using that because that's what I've been around. Like, people make God responsible for all of their emotions and all of their problems. When first of all, God is you, God is within, God is everything around you. But I'm talking about the Christian God, and the white Jesus. Like, people sit in pews and boo-hoo and cry about things that they can change in their life because they believe to this higher power, in a sense, right? Like, God and Jesus is the most powerful or very strong and just heightened in spirituality. The epitome of spiritual and soul and God, right? Is what they believe. And so they take that and say, hey, you can be responsible for all of my problems because I feel too weak within to handle these issues. And so that is where executive discomfort and fear can come from when you have big plans or big goals. Or even as far as the fear of failure, the fear of failure is something I really had to work through and just realize, damn, I have failed a lot of times in life and I have succeeded a lot of times in life. And I'm still me and I'm still great and I'm still doing things that I can do. But it's so many things that comes with it, and we really should talk about these things more because we all have the power to execute our plans. We all have the power to dream big and go for it and become who we want to become. But if we continue to allow fear and anxiety of our power or what our power can bring dictate how we move, we'll never execute. Or we will eventually, but it's gonna take some time, right? So, I don't know, I guess I wanted to say the goal is to do it even when you're anxious. Because in my changing years and like the end of 2023 and some of 2024, I started to do things that really scared the ish out of me, like for real. Things that made me anxious, things that made me overthink, things that made me feel like, do I know what I'm doing? Or am am I pretending to be someone else? Because that is the only way to sometimes prove to yourself you know what you're doing. Because the subconscious is just a big compilation of all the other thoughts and words and projections that have been pushed onto you and that you have integrated into yourself, whether it is really you or not. You have integrated it into yourself, and now you have to push it out and pull something new in, right? And so I don't know why it took so long to explain that, but maybe it was I seen 144 again with 1044, but it is just to say you can execute it. And also the message I got about the birds, I didn't forget to tell y'all that, because I've grown to love seeing birds a lot more. Like, I'm starting to notice them a lot more, especially the crows. Like, crows are so damn big. I've seen like some crows up close. They are pretty damn big. Like, their wingspan. But anyway, as I was talking to my ancestors and talking about this executive dysfunction and how I feel it and I manifest it and I know I can do it, and then when it's time to do it, I'm scared. And I started to overthink, should I be doing it? And then I seen like this flock of birds, right? And it was already this one bird just sitting by itself in the tree looking around, right? And then this flock of birds, the way I observed the situation, it was like this flock literally just like flew in front of the bird, like trying to fuck with it or whatever. Like, this was just the energy like I was feeling or sensing, like through this kind of story projection, right? But the bird didn't move from where he was. He didn't pay attention to the quote unquote distractions of other people, the birds, right? And so they landed with him, right? They landed like for literally 3 seconds. They all just landed and they sat there, and then they went and left him, right? And that little bird was still the only one sitting in that same exact branch, just chilling, minding his business, right? Then the flock, it's like the flock kept coming back, like the same exact birds, 1244. And it just was all over, like the top of the branches, like they were fluttering. And then only 2 birds landed as the other ones flew away. And the 2 birds stayed and they sat there and just hopped around from branch to branch around this one bird that still decided to stay where it was at. And then those 2 birds flew away. And then it was like this one bird finally got up and started to follow behind the flock, but it was left outside of the flock. That is what I started to look at. Like, this one bird was always outside of the flock. And then it tried to follow it. And then it's like, I don't know why I got these birds in my head observing the bird, but it was like, the bird was like, why am I following these niggas? Excuse my language. It was like, why am I following them? And it's like it did a sharp ass U-turn and started flying like a whole nother direction towards the sky, right? Like up into the clouds, because it's kind of like a cloudy, like drizzly day. And so it was flying into those clouds. But the other flock, like the big flock that kept coming and trying to distract it, or coming and like seeing what the one bird was doing, it went right back to the same post, like where I always see all the birds, you know, those lines where all the birds sit. They went right over there, and they all sat together and did what they did, and they just sat while this other bird flew into the clouds, up and up. And so what that meant to me, and the message I even got from that, was like, it's okay to be alone. First of all, I was like, oh, like that bird is on something different, like different type timing, different mindset, like just different. But it felt like a good different. Like that bird was meant to be alone. It was meant to do what it wanted to do. And I believed it was starting to get confused with itself when it started to follow the flock, because it had those two birds sitting with them. And when those other two birds flew away with the flock, it started to second guess itself, like maybe I should be with the flock because it bonded with those two birds. I don't know. This is what I got. Stick with me now. Stick with me. But then the bird came to a realization that I am my own person and I am allowed to do what I want, and this is not aligning. Like, even when he was following the flock, like he wasn't so far, but it was like the flock kept going and going, and he was like just trying to like catch up, and then he was like, this isn't for me, this isn't aligning, and he just changed his mind onto bigger and greater things. And I don't know who that is for, but like, man, continue to be yourself. That's also, I think that's why it aligns with the executive dysfunction, because sometimes it's the fear of being yourself when you haven't been yourself in a long time, or when it's a new side of yourself you're discovering and getting used to. You kind of want to go back to the norm or what you're used to or your safety, right? But it's not in alignment for you. It'll never be in alignment for you, and it will never feel right. So continue on your path. Continue the direction you want to go. But I don't know why this is the first time I've gotten like such a deep message from birds. And I've been seeing a lot of crows lately. And as much as people like to paint crows as like these negative, evil, death symbols, crows are really a sign of intelligence and transformation. And you can look up the rest for yourself, because it might mean something different for you. But those are the main two that stuck with me when I seen it. It was intelligence and transformation. Crows are really freaking smart. They really are. They really are. They've mastered trade. They're pretty smart animals. But I have been analyzing birds a lot more in my everyday life. So yeah. But I want you to know that you are okay, that you are safe, and that your path is always protected as long as you fight for it. And as long as you believe in yourself, nothing can really deter you. Nothing can change you unless you allow it to change you, whether that's good change or bad change. And keep moving forward. You are amazing. You are great. You deserve the greatest. Don't settle. And sometimes not settling means being hard on yourself. Like for me, like it's really like, damn, this is so big and it's so great and I want it and it scares me. And I want to go back to the normal, mundane stuff because that's safe. That's what I know. And I excel at that. But it's like, no, you got to do this. You got to do this big thing. You won't be happy with anything else. I'm telling you right now. Because I had to learn for myself. I'm not happy with anything else but the big, bright things that are meant for me. So keep pursuing yourself. And don't hate yourself for the anxiety. Don't hate yourself for having to reprogram or rethink, or sometimes you may falter to the anxiety. It's human, and relearning and reprogramming is not linear. It's a wave of ups and downs until you get the steady up and up and you get comfortable and used to it, right? So keep loving yourself. Keep doing your best, right? And I'll see you next time. That's all, I think. Yeah. All right.